No, he won't be speaking unless he was to turn around and say he's committed to a bunch of stuff, which he won't.
To be clear, we did ask to speak, myself and Katie, and we're told that that wasn't possible, and that's fine. I respect the organisers' right to do that.
That's a full-out lie.
Sarah Williams has become a national symbol in the fight against domestic violence. But tonight, there are questions around her conduct and the governance of the organisation she founded, What Were You Wearing, Australia.
Oh, watching me, hanging by a string this time.
Following allegations against the organiser who called the Australian Prime Minister a liar, I began looking into the history of her organisation. How much money have they raised, and where did it go? Are they a registered charity? How do they treat their volunteers, particularly the ones that leave? Did they fake signatures for a petition to change legislation in New South Wales? Is the founder a selfless advocate for victims of domestic and sexual assault, a selfish lying bully, or something in between? Did the media accurately represent the clash with Albanese? The following is a chronicle of the controversial group that made national headlines in late April, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly from the past 3 years.
There's nothing sweet about me, yeah, sweet about me. There's nothing.
Sarah Williams lists February 25, 2021 as the day she began What Were You Wearing Australia, just 5 days after leaving a relationship of 2 years that became physically abusive. In July, she announced an upcoming exhibit in her hometown of Newcastle that sought to defeat the stigma that sexual assault occurs because of someone's clothing. She later posted about it on TikTok.
And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna.
In between the announcement and the actual exhibit, What Were You Wearing ran 3 fundraisers, with the first one raising almost $500 according to a recent NBN investigation. The exhibit ran successfully throughout December and was attended by some members of the New South Wales Legislative Assembly. That month, the group also called for volunteers to fill various positions, including Vice President, Treasurer and Fundraising Officer. In March of 22, they hosted an event for International Women's Day.
It's only right that you should play the way you feel it.
Our first speaker today is a wonderful and brave woman who I'm inspired by every day. She's the founder and director of What Were You Wearing Australia. Please welcome Sarah Williams.
Hello, I'm Sarah Williams and I'm the founder of What Were You Wearing Australia. We support people who have been unfortunately a victim of sexual violence. Some upcoming events, we'll be taking advantage of Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which is in April. Both events to hopefully fundraise and raise money for our awareness to continue to hold our yearly exhibition and do what we do.
Next, we're very thankful and happy to have here today our state member for Newcastle. Please welcome Tim Crackenthorpe.
What were you wearing? That is the question. That is an incredible movement, an incredible exhibition.
Sarah was nominated for the New South Wales Young Achiever of the Year award before her group went on to organise a march against domestic violence.
My name's Sarah Williams and I'm the founder of What We Wear in Australia. So one of our big things that I've been preaching is that we need more funding for domestic violence organisations. And we'll be going to Nobby's beach car park. If everyone could start to make their way over.
A groundswell against domestic violence. Just days ago, more than 1,000 people marched in Newcastle calling for change.
We won't take it anymore.
21-year-old Mackenzie Anderson was last week fatally stabbed, allegedly by her former boyfriend Tyrone Thompson. Thompson was on parole at the time and subject to an ADVO, the case prompting broader discussion about domestic violence measures.
You have so many communities around you, you have so many friends as well, and we will not stop until we make change. We won't go quietly, we won't be silent!
We say no to domestic violence.
We've also organised 2 other marches. One will be solely on sexual assault. You can find all this information on our Facebook and Instagram page. And the other march, which is a march to end sexual assault on campus. We're standing with students today to really try and get our university to make change.
In April, they also sold tickets for 2 panel events. According to the NBN investigation, the first one raised around $1,000. They released a promo for a live music fundraiser at the end of the month.
My own skin.
Tickets were $15, except during a 24-hour 50% off sale when they were $10. They set up a chill-out zone at the Groove and the Moo Festival, where people could relax and purchase all of their festival needs. In May, they held 3 more fundraising events and set up a safe space at the Festival of the Sun for people to chill out or seek help.
So we're really needing everyone's help to try and get us onto Melbourne TikTok because we have a few fundraisers next week. Our team's coming to Melbourne, so I'll put the events up. We have 4 events, and if you're from Melbourne, we'd really love to see you there.
The group also responded to the United States restricting access to abortions. They raised some money for themselves and Planned Parenthood and held a rally in solidarity.
How's my body being bent before a gun in someone's hand? I'll never understand.
There's been 27 people killed this year just from domestic violence, so that's almost 1 a week.
So I am making this video because in a few minutes I'll be going into the police station to meet with 2 detectives on my case that I reported last year. So I reported last year and I haven't had any update on it, and yeah, it's been about 12 months more since. It was just a meet, which was fine. It wasn't like too hard. But they did, say like, are you sure you'll be okay if it was to go to court? They said that defense lawyers and stuff would grill me and tell me I'm a liar, and the fact that I had 3 incidents in 1 year doesn't look good for me. And that sort of broke me because I was just like, didn't really want 3 incidents to happen to me in 1 year. So yeah, the detectives said that there's a chance it won't go to court.
A day after a What Were You Wearing safe space was at a University of Newcastle event, Sarah discussed various topics with politicians, including venues paying for safe spaces. The group held more fundraisers and collected donations to make survivor packs like the one you just saw. They sought more volunteers, and Sarah won the Youth Award from the Newcastle Business Club. On the 8th of October, Sarah and others travelled to Melbourne to oppose an anti-abortion rally. While they were there, they hosted a panel discussion and a vulva painting class to raise funds.
And nurse help in the one. They're really competitive too. All the different charities. Yeah. Ours is different because we're not a charity yet.
The group listed what their funding goes towards in a post on Instagram. They listed survivor packs, accommodation and transport to provide safe spaces at festivals, spiking testing kits, printed resources, venue hire, spiking testing kits again, travel expenses, providing workshops in the future, and staff/volunteer training.
We regularly get stories coming in from people who have been spiked around Newcastle, and the amount of stories we get in on a monthly basis is really devastating.
So what are your plans this weekend?
So tomorrow night at 9 p.m, we are partnering with the King Street Hotel. From 9 to 1, we are going into the nightclub and we're holding a Halloween party. And the idea is that if anyone thinks their drink has been spiked, they can bring it up to one of our team and we will test the drink for them.
So how do you do that? A little litmus paper or something?
Yeah, so we've got like a piece of paper that tests the most common spiking drugs.
Wow.
And yeah, you put a drop of the drink onto the circle, and if it turns, for those particular tests, dark blue, it means the drink has been contracted by one of those drugs.
Wow. Do people do that? I mean, obviously you can, if you've got hold of these kits, you can buy them. You can buy the strips. Do you know people that would do that when they go out?
Just test the drink.
Test their own drink.
Well,
I mean, it's scary that you'd have to go through that, right?
Yeah, well, we've been talking to like lots of people, and they're actually really hard to find as well in Australia, and hard to buy. They're pretty expensive as well.
Plans for Reclaim the Night?
Yeah, so Reclaim the Night's tonight. One of the big demands that we are demanding is to make it mandatory spiking prevention around New South Wales. We'll be met with quite a lot of politicians there tonight as well. I started What We're Wearing at the start of 2021. That came from me being a child sexual abuse survivor. I just was really passionate to really want to make change and really do something. In the future, I hope that What We're Wearing will achieve charitable status So the skills that I've developed since launching What We're Wearing would be things like leadership skills and really people skills, being able to speak with survivors and have a listening ear to hear their stories and provide them with advice on how they can achieve their justice. You know, I'm able to take my adversity and change it into passion and real change. And through winning an award like this really demonstrates that we have done that so far and that we can really continue to make this change in this community.
More fundraising and more awards. What Were You Wearing allegedly raised around $500 from a vulva painting workshop at a consent fair they organised.
I had a lot of friends as well as myself go through quite a lot of victim blaming. You know, being asked the question, what were you wearing? How much did you have to drink? So I worked with a team over in America to bring the What Were You Wearing exhibition to Australia. We actually collected 9,976 stories from survivors in Australia at the time to then make that happen. From that, we decided that we had to make it an organisation that helps fight the crime every day rather than just a once a year event.
Tell me, you said you do a survivor pack, was it? What is involved in that?
So these packs are things donated or our team collects. They're journals, teddy bears, self-care items to give survivors hope and to give them, you know, that sense of belonging as well as that someone's got their back. And it's got resources in it so they know where to go around their local area.
And you mentioned that you play a role at festivals like today, Spilt Milk, and university campuses. What do you do there?
We do a lot of crowd care. So we provide free water, free fairy breads, our big one, as well as we have a safe space. So any survivors that want to go to festivals feel like they can watch the music but also sit in a safe space and watch it at the same time. You can come to the space, know that the space is run by volunteer staff that are trained in trauma-informed care.
In 2024, some volunteers who left the organisation would speak to the Newcastle Herald about these safe spaces. The ex-volunteers described the safe spaces as little more than a table with lollies and water, manned by people with no qualifications, no medical training, and no process to appropriately deal with disclosures of sexual violence. Many of the volunteers were attracted to the organisation because of their own experiences of abuse and a desire to help others, and one told Sarah this lack of training could potentially re-traumatise them. Closing out 2022 was a very successful fundraiser ball, with tickets priced at $165 each. They also listed various items for a silent auction. According to the NBN investigation, the ball raised almost $25,000 for the group.
Hey TikTok, we need a bit of your help. On the 3rd of December, a few of our team members after our fundraiser ball actually attended Finnegan's Hotel.
The last thing Demi Parkinson remembers from Friday night at Finnegan's Hotel is someone buying her a drink.
They were really nice at the time, didn't think anything of it, fortunately I took the drink.
Fast forward a few hours and the 22-year-old woke up in the Calvary Mater Hospital.
Had no clue what happened and where I was.
Demi now believes the drink had been spiked by a group of 5 men claiming to be foreigners. Her friends say they saw her being dragged out of the pub unconscious and quickly intervened.
It could have ended a lot worse if my friends went there.
Said security guard then turned around and pulled his security badge off to the ground and said that I'm going to knock her out, and then proceeded to punch a pole right next to us and storm across the road.
Our friend was spiked. The hotel, bar staff and security were quite aggressive and did not believe us, or nor did it got us any help. But our main reason for doing this is that, and why we needed your help, is because we have started a government petition asking for mandatory drink spiking and sexual violence awareness training for all security guards, bar staff in nightclubs across New South Wales, in hopes to then make that a nationwide thing.
This has been spearheaded by What Were You Wearing, who I'll tag in the comments. The way petitions work in New South Wales Parliament is that they need MPs to sponsor them. For this petition, that's me. We're currently at 3,800 signatures, but we need 20,000 signatures to be able to present it to Parliament, and we only have till the beginning of March to to get that.
So please send this to your friends, share it around, or if you already haven't, please go and sign it.
Drink spiking is rising. Like, we have had so many messages, over 300 messages from people telling their story.
Newcastle nurse Demi Parkinson says she was spiked at a local club when talking to a group of men who bought her a drink.
And I was unresponsive, incoherent, barely able to walk.
She alleges when her friends tried to get help from security, they were met with aggression and ignored.
To be treated like that, obviously in a scary situation, to be treated like that for the people who are meant to help you is, not good.
I don't think that our venues are taking it as serious as they need to be, with the hopes that we will see signage around all the pubs, telling patrons what the signs are to look for if you've been spiked. Survivor advocates aren't seen as professionals. When you think about it, a survivor advocate is someone with lived experience, meaning that if you have lived experience, you are a professional in that area.
The Safe Sounds Music Festival is coming to Newcastle, January 22 at the Cambridge. Featuring over 50 local acts taking the stage, promoting safety amongst the music industry and raising funds for What Were You Wearing, which battles violence against women in our community. Limited tickets available, don't miss out.
According to the NBN investigation, the Safe Sounds Festival of 23 raised over $14,000.
50 live and local acts, the music is endless.
We have all our team members on with 1-800-RESPECT lanyards, and at any point, if there's any bad behaviour or anything, everyone in the crowd is encouraged to come talk to us and report it.
500 tickets sold for today's festival, with the funds going to the charity so it can keep raising awareness about sexual violence.
2 days later, Sarah did some media interviews about online dating safety.
Millions of Australians use apps and online dating sites to find companionship. But for some, the space opens the door to those with criminal intentions.
So I hung out with this person and unfortunately was sexually assaulted when I first met them.
2 years ago, Sarah Williams' life was changed by someone she met online. But what made the experience worse was feeling powerless when she went to police.
They wanted to see conversation proof that we'd been speaking, that we ever had spoken, and that we planned to meet up. And unfortunately, when we went back onto Bumble to try and find this conversation, their conversation was removed.
It's stories like Sarah's that prompted a roundtable of dating app executives, state and federal government ministers and safety advocates.
This is just a reminder that our spiking awareness petition, it does end on the 2nd of March and we do need 20,000 signatures. This is the petition. If you go to New South Wales Parliament, go up to the Legislative Assembly and then go to online petitions, and then you find it's the first one.
Have a little patience.
The organisation continued to expand and raise funds.
Come along with me for our Galentine's Day event. So our event was a boudoir photography. We had platters, nibbles. This is our stall. We had some free condoms, resources, getting people to sign our petition. This is a little video because we have just hit 80-something thousand followers. Spend the day with me as a survivor advocate speaking at a march. So I travelled to the event, got some really cute badges. The march was really good and really powerful. I then got the privilege to speak about sexual and domestic violence, which is really, really important we touch on this International Women's Day.
After failing to reach 20,000 signatures for their petition by March 2, the group held a painting event which raised another $1,300 according to the NBN investigation.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my girls.
Sarah was then presented with the Newcastle Local Woman of the Year award by Tim Krakenthorpe before raising some money through hat sales.
About 1 month ago, I received this comment right here, and I thought this would be such a good collaboration.
If you haven't already, stop this video and go and watch that video. It's really important. So at 5 p.m. today, our collab with Lies Collective and What We're Wearing came out, and all of the profits are going to What We're Wearing to allow us to continue our essential services for survivors and the wider community as well.
Good
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
The team at What We're Wearing and I have formed a campaign asking for mandatory drink spiking and sexual violence training for all bar staff and security guards in nightclubs across New South Wales. I've spoken about this quite a bit on our TikTok, but we've actually been really lucky to get our petition extended for 3 more months to March 25th, meaning we have 3 extra months to get 20,000 signatures, so then our petition can be debated in Parliament.
After the petition was granted a 3-month extension, Tim Crackenthorpe made a $20,000 funding commitment to What Were You Wearing. This was contingent on his political party winning the upcoming election and was to go towards drink spiking testing and drink covers, as well as safe spaces at festivals. Sarah said the following in response. It means survivors are being recognised for once, because survivors and organisations like ours are very rarely recognised. Without funding, we can't go to festivals, we can't do workshops, we can't do spiking tests or anything that we do. Tim's party went on to win the election 5 days later.
I really encourage you to come along to our march to end domestic and sexual violence this Sunday in Newcastle.
What Were You Wearing ran a fundraising campaign throughout April and May. They said the money raised would go towards survivor packs, safe spaces, future workshops that they began fundraising for 5 months earlier, collecting stories on their website, responding to messages, and their exhibition.
Hey Ethan, what you up to?
Oh, just doing some sit-ups.
What for?
Oh, for Move For Me?
Yeah, the Move For Me campaign starting in April, isn't it?
Exactly right.
So I wanted to share the story time and what created our government petition. Here's a really cute pic of a few of our team members. On the 2nd of December, we had our first ever What We Were Wearing ball. Long story short, we left when the club closed around 2 a.m. and we went to the kebab shop down the end of the road. However, we noticed very quickly that one of our friends couldn't walk, was in and out of consciousness, slurred speech and everything. And we eventually asked them, how much did you have to drink? We were with her all night and she even admitted to it. She actually only had 1 drink and she was forced to scull a drink by a group of men in the club. We knew immediately there was no way having 1 drink and then 1 forced drink that she could be that drunk to the point of she couldn't speak anymore and couldn't walk. The response so far has been amazing. We have about 9,000 signatures. So many people are gobsmacked because they thought it was already something in the RSA. But it's not. But we need your help. We need 20,000 signatures before May 25th.
Over 4 months into the petition, and with only 1 month to go, they only had half the signatures required for it to make it to Parliament. Sarah posted on Instagram about receiving an email from police stating that one of her sexual assault cases would not be going to court due to a lack of evidence, 36 months after she reported it. She wrote that the perpetrator confessed to the crime, but police believe this was not enough proof. She wrote, "It was determined that because my perpetrator denied all allegations and freely consented to be interviewed that he most likely didn't do it. It was stated that there was no DNA evidence because my bed sheets and clothes were washed. At that point I didn't actually own a washing machine and was living out of home. Did the police wash them, or did they lose them? Why is it not a surprise to me that you can rape someone in Australia, confess to it, and still get away with it?" She hated that she couldn't name her perpetrator, felt like she was the one on trial, vowed to forever fight for justice, and hoped for a just legal system. She mentioned her 2 other cases and how she was told that they were unlikely to go to court despite also having confessions, DNA evidence, and witnesses.
We are so close to reaching our 20,000 signatures. We only have 5,000 signatures left to make it mandatory for drink spiking training in all New South Wales pubs and clubs.
They picked up the 3rd quarter of required signatures in a few weeks, which, though impressive, only left them 1 week to get the final quarter. Which they did.
Hi guys, my name is Sarah Williams. I'm the founder of What We're Wearing Australia. I'm making this video because we hit 20,000 signatures on our government petition. I'm absolutely mind blown. I am mind blown, but I want to say a massive thank you to you guys. On behalf of survivors, thank you for hearing me, believing our team. And now it's in the hands of the government to make the decision of if they'll pass it or not. And I'm not going to say it was easy. Its past 6 months have been so hard, but we've done it.
With the petition to be debated in Parliament in a few weeks, What Were You Wearing provided more safe spaces and sold 14 $40 tickets for a Poll for Empowerment event. Sarah was featured in the June issue of In Touch magazine. The article talked about the petition as well as the original What Were You Wearing exhibit in the United States that she brought to Australia. She was quoted as saying, "I give it my all now, hoping it will pay me in the future. The goal is for the organisation to be able to pay its employees. The government should be funding us. We received a grant of $20,000 from Tim to fund the festival safe spaces for 6 months. It's a good start. $100,000 would really make a difference." They also sold tickets for an event celebrating Pride Month. The event allegedly raised around $3,000, which was to go towards the usual survivor packs, safe spaces, future workshops and the exhibition. The organisation continually sought out more volunteers, with some positions focusing on securing grants. They received some money for their still upcoming survivor workshops, before calling on followers to put pressure on politicians to support their petition in Parliament. They travelled to Sydney for the big day and held an exhibition outside before the debate began.
What Were You Wearing have put an exceptional amount of work together to see the petition come to this place, and I would like to acknowledge all the volunteers that have travelled to Parliament today and are in the chamber here to watch the debate. This may be the first time many people in this place have come across this group here today, but I assure you it will not be the last you hear of them. In fact, the founder and Newcastle Local Woman of the Year, Sarah Williams, is with us today, and it would not surprise me at all if one day she's standing exactly where I am here today. I'm very proud to be standing here supporting them, and I'm looking forward to soon being able to provide them with more assistance with this. And in another fantastic initiative which sees them provide safe spaces and trauma-informed staff at patrons at music festivals. I expect every person in this House will get behind this petition and What You Are Wearing as all stakeholders work together to prevent drink spiking and sexual assault.
The ayes have it. The ayes have it. I congratulate the petitioners on this important issue, and I hope that you get a sense that there is broad support for this in this place. We will get it done.
Give me one margarita, I'ma open my legs. Give me 2 margaritas, I'ma give you some head. Give me 3 margaritas, I'ma put
In 2024, former volunteers told the Newcastle Herald that at least hundreds of the signatures for the petition were forged. They were struggling to get 20,000 signatures and were being sent pages of names and email addresses to enter into the petition system. I personally know that I put fake signatures in, and I'm very ashamed of myself that I believe this person enough to let myself go against my morals and do that, to do something that's legally wrong because this is a government petition. Another volunteer said, "Sarah explicitly told me multiple times she understood the system that was in place, which meant the system did not check emails. It only calculated how many inputs there were and for data security deleted the data." The Newcastle Herald obtained messages from Ethan Fraser saying, "Yeah, just make them up, or literally put the fake ones in. As long as they follow the structure of an email, they will work." Responding to concerns about the emails, he claimed one of their files had been corrupted, and while they lost all their emails, they still had the names of people who signed the petition. So instead of losing so many valuable signatures, I guessed what they were. Some also spoke to NBN News about the petition.
Ex-volunteers don't just question the group's financial management, but also why Ms Williams took a petition with what they claim are fake signatures to Macquarie Street. 20,000 people signed the group's push for reforms to responsible service of alcohol requirements last year, which led to Sarah Williams speaking in Parliament. Scores of those signatures allegedly forged.
They had meetings where they were just putting in mass amounts of signatures and for this petition online with, fake names and fake emails. And that was a big red flag.
What Were You Wearing put this response on their website. During our government petition last year, we became aware of multiple volunteers who were uploading fake names and email addresses to the petition's website. After these revelations, we made it very clear to all volunteers in meetings that this wasn't okay and personally pulled up those we was aware who had engaged in this. This never occurred again, and the signatures came from many of our volunteers going out into the public every weekend, working tirelessly for these signatures. The Newcastle Herald followed up with more messages, including Sarah reacting with a love heart to one saying, "Can we just make up emails? I mean, the intention is there for them to be included." One message said they were putting through the same emails with the numbers attached, and Sarah responded, "Oh, like same sheet but the numbers changed?" and got the reply, "I've been putting fake ones through, but making them look legit." Yes, correct. What Were You Wearing began selling merchandise, and they sought out corporate sponsorships. At the end of July, they held their first survivor workshop with psychologists they had been fundraising for since the previous October. They began providing the free service around once a month.
Today I just wanted to talk about our Survivor fashion show, and pretty much what it is our What We're Wearing exhibition. That's usually the clothing on the wall, but it's on models and it's coming to life through catwalks, fashion shows, and real life people with real life stories. I guess not enough is being done from people in positions of power, our government, to really stop and lower the rates of sexual violence. So that's where our Survivor Fashion Show comes in, and that's why it's so important. It's so important to attend. So if you want to see a massive event and a moment in history pretty much happen, come along October 2nd. It goes on through that week. We need you there, and we need you to help us, support us, so we can help continue our services for victim survivors.
So I just wanted to do something that I don't see is people, women speaking up and talking about politics.
I used to float, now I just fall down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now.
A sexual assault survivor advocate is urging the New South Wales government to force music festival organisers to set up safe spaces at events. Sarah Williams, thank you for your time. What do you want to see at music festivals?
Yeah, so we're proposing that we want to amend the Music Festivals Act 2019, and we want to add in a section that asks for a external sexual assault service that has to come on into festivals, so that if any sexual assault or harassment happens, you have a place to report. You know that you're going to be spoken to by people who are trained and work in this area every single day.
So who would bear the cost of this?
At the moment, we've been going into festivals for the past 2 years, and we've been doing it volunteer free of cost. But looking into it sustainability-wise, it would be festivals paying for it, or it would be something that the New South Wales government, we would hope, would commit to funding the service, so then festivals don't have to bear that cost.
Yeah, because if it is organisers who have to pay the cost, that would then be passed on to patrons more than likely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or I guess how I see it is that, like, if, for example, someone is sexually assaulted or harassed, it's going to cost the government or the organisers a lot more than what it would be to prevent it. So it would be great to have the government commit to it, but I do definitely believe that it is something that's feasible for most festivals.
ABC News also published this article earlier in the day. What Were You Wearing has attended more than 30 festivals across Australia since creating its own Safe Space program, offering the service free of charge through state government support. Miss Williams, who was this week nominated as a finalist for the 2023 Australian Human Rights Awards, said she had to almost beg festival organisers for permission to attend their events. In November, they held another fundraising ball. An Instagram post about where the profits were going listed the usual survivor packs and safe spaces, as well as law reform action. They also wrote that each ticket would allow for 3 spots at their healing groups. Though the main page for the ball has since been deleted, this apparent screenshot suggests that the purchase of a vehicle was listed on their website as one of the fundraising goals for the event. This was later mentioned by the Newcastle Herald. The ball was promoted on their social media from July until ticket sales ended late October. They listed a few options, including gifting a ticket to a survivor for $190. They had a 3-day, $30 off sale, and eventually lowered the tickets to $160 in the final month, as a thank you gift to their supporters. The ball took place on November 4.
21, can you do something for me? Can you hit a little rich flex for me?
They claimed to have raised under $3,000 from the ball, which is significantly less than what they allegedly raised the year before, despite gaining a much larger following since then. What Were You Wearing called for the New South Wales Government to revoke its latest Think Safe, Drink Safe campaign and work with them on appropriate measures. They said that quite a few of the 12 suggestions contained victim-blaming language and that it was important for advocates with lived experience to be consulted on government campaigns. The message around drink spiking needed to be targeted to the perpetrators, and posters preventing people from spiking and educating people on the symptoms were necessary. They were later invited to a roundtable with the relevant department to make changes to the campaign. While most of the campaign remained the same, a couple of passages about being believed were added, as well as a big section about drink spiking being a crime that should be called out. Sections about supporting victims and more advice for what to do if spiked were also added. A section about being aware of alcohol lowering your inhibitions was removed, and the word mates was replaced with the word friends.
Hi, my name is Sarah Williams and I'm a proud Abobacal woman and the founder of What Were You Wearing Australia. When I found out that I was nominated but also a finalist, I was definitely in shock, definitely in awe that I'm a finalist amongst some other amazing people.
If you be the cash, I'll be the rubber band. Okay. If you be the cash,
I'll be the rubber band, you'll be the match, I will be a fuse.
I have not done a video yet about our following. 200,000 followers. No words, no actual words. So thanks for being along this journey with us. I'm literally in shock that this is my life every day.
Sarah Williams created the not-for-profit organisation What Were You Wearing after having her own drink spiked. The ACT Attorney General Shane Rattenbury has committed to making the same amendment to the Responsible Service of Alcohol Guidelines in Canberra.
And with that, the 2023 season comes to an end.
I can't explain, I got a feeling that I can't erase, just a feeling that I want it behind, because it's something that it's on my mind.
Never coming back again.
What are you up to next Saturday, Murray?
We're going to be playing at Safe Sounds at the Hamo in Newcastle. We can't wait, it's going to be great. There's 30 bands.
Over 3 stages.
Only $40.
What Were You Wearing claimed to have raised $3,500 from Safe Sounds 2024, again significantly less than they allegedly raised the previous year.
So I've been left with no choice but to come on here and ask for some help, which I really hate doing because I'm always wanting to be the one to help everyone else, and my life is literally dedicated to helping other people, but I just really fucking need some help. This cat here is my cat, and her name is Frankie. I'm gonna try and get what I need to get out without crying so fucking much. She is currently hospitalised, and somehow I need to come up with probably roughly, I've been told by the vet, $7,000 to $12,000 to try and save her. And I don't have money. This is my family and my only family member. And I don't know what I'll do if I lose her, but I want to just do anything I can to be able to potentially save her, and that is by money.
So I have made a GoFundMe. This is in our bio. That's me, my little baby. Anything helps, even as small as $1. And if you don't have anything, reposting this video, sharing, commenting will do so much. Yes, so please help me save Frankie.
You have to let me go. You have to let me let you go. All that work and what did it get me? Why did I do it?
On the 13th of April, a man killed 6 people and hospitalised 12 more in a stabbing attack at the Westfield Bondi Junction shopping centre in Sydney. 5 of the 6 people killed were women. What Were You Wearing began organising a national rally soon after.
So you most likely have heard, but just this weekend it has been confirmed that now 28 women have been due to violence. 5 of those women were unalived on Saturday in the Bondi attacks. And before getting into anything, obviously I want to pay my respects to the family. But why I'm on here is because I want to use our platforms, I want to use our anger, and I want to be able to make change. So what I and the team have done is we have decided we are going to organise a national protest, meaning there will be a protest in each state of Australia, with the states that we can obviously get people to organise. Hoping to organise this ASAP for it to go live and the protest to happen within 2 weeks. Our aims of the protest have not been confirmed yet, obviously, as it has not even been 48 hours. But I really do want, with the aim of this, to bring awareness to the disproportionate effects of domestic, family and sexual violence on Indigenous, queer and disabled people. I want us to be signing petitions, making change and actually forcing our government to do something right then and there.
A GoFundMe was quickly set up for people to donate money to the organisation. The donations were said to cover welcome to country ceremonies, sign language, equipment, fees, security, volunteer support and refreshments. They set a target of $30,000. While most of their followers were on TikTok, they pointed out to their Instagram followers that it would only take $1 from each of them to reach this target and encouraged them to invite politicians to support the rallies.
My name's Sarah Williams. I'm the founder and CEO of What We're Wearing Australia. The purpose of this video is to talk more about our demands. Our first demand being we want Anthony Albanese, or the government, to make an official statement saying that men's violence against women, is a national emergency and immediate action will be taken.
A nation's devastation turning to rising anger. Women in Ballarat and Newcastle tonight leading off a weekend of rallies for the 26 mothers, daughters, sisters and friends who've been murdered, allegedly at the hands of an intimate partner so far this year. Fresh in the minds of so many, the memory of Molly Ticehurst. Her ex-boyfriend, Daniel Billings, stands accused of murdering Molly on Monday morning, just 15 days after he was granted bail on domestic violence charges.
My immediate response remains reform and review of the bail laws in New South Wales.
Come Monday, the pressure will be amplified, these scenes to be replicated in capital cities and country towns tomorrow and Sunday.
Find people and get there. I'm glad that Chris Minns has started talking about bail, like looking into the bail laws, which is great. But we still haven't heard from Anthony Albanese that, we want him to say that this is a national emergency and we want him to fund not just your helplines, but on the ground grassroots organisations, behaviour change programs, healthy relationship programs. Some of the other things that are on our national demands, mandatory victim blaming prevention training, to then when our institutions are doing their jobs, they're not going to re-traumatise victim survivors. I've experienced it myself, and I'll be honest, it was probably worse than the crime itself.
So what do you hope to achieve from these rallies? If 1 or 2 things could be happening right now, what would it be?
Yeah, I'd like to see funding for grassroots organisations like ours. Our fourth national demand is one we always hear, and that's funding domestic, sexual and family violence services. I always, whenever I do rallies, which are usually in Newcastle, my hometown, I always collect donations and I'm always doing stuff for other organisations. But I decided, even though it scares the hell out of me, today I'm going to actually stand as a woman for my own organisation. I've been running What We're Wearing Australia for about 4 years now. 40 hours a week, completely volunteer, completely unpaid. So I really ask everyone here today to find an organisation that hits home for you, that you really like, and if you're capable and able to, $1, a coffee, you know, that genuinely helps so much. Please welcome Hannah for me.
One of the first things I'd like to acknowledge today is that there are a bunch of news cameras and microphones in front of me. It is disgusting that the Australian media landscape wants to turn up to this moment to see women beg to deserve to live. And now you'll sit here and put microphones in the faces of survivors and say, give me your trauma, I want it now. Earlier today, I looked out into the crowd and I saw the Premier of New South Wales, Chris Minns. And it is good that there are leaders here. He left halfway through the first speech. So I'm asking the media and I'm asking our politicians to fucking do something tangible for starters. It's not enough, it's never been enough, and it's not about changing attitudes. If your attitude is to come here, to take the photo and to leave, that's not change. That's selling us something to vote for every 3 years, and I am sick to death of men telling us they care. I am sick of it. But you are the change, there is hope, and we are going to change this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I think honestly that deserves another round of applause. I also didn't realise, because I've been too busy doing this, that Chris Minns left. That's pretty cool day. We should all say together, maybe not his name, but fuck politician. No, sorry, it's a good politician. Sorry, there's a good one here. Fuck bad politicians. Alright, let's go. Fuck bad politicians. I do want to say, Amelia, if you want to get this right now, straight to Anthony Albanese. Anthony Albanese is coming to our Canberra Rally tomorrow. I swear to God, if that man leaves after the first speech. So now we're going to have some amazing team members read out the names of the people, the women we have lost since the start of 2024.
Janice Walker, Carol Dogle, Alison Robertson, Vera Marshall, Alana Martin, Antoinette Tozer, Eileen White, Donna Barraket, Samira Milladine, Amrit Kaur Sadar, Rebecca Young, Min Cho, Bonnie Lee Anderson, Natasha Navisi, Samantha Murphy, Unnamed Woman, Joanne Perry, Shatanya Madagani, Bauer Kazenga, Somi Franklin, Unnamed Woman, Hannah Maguire, Ashley Good, Dawn Singleton, Jade Young. Jade's mother is here with us today.
Jade was killed 2 weeks ago, murdered at Bondi Junction, almost exactly now, in front of her nine-year-old daughter.
Victoria Dacia, Yushen Cheng, Tara Marie Morrison, Leslie Stillman, Molly Ticehurst, Emma Bates, Erica Hay.
Canberra tomorrow, 2 p.m. we start at Commonwealth Park at Regatta Point and we march with Anthony Albanese to Parliament House. We've got drinks up there that we're taking donations from. We've got our GoFundMe going at the moment. That GoFundMe is to support these rallies. So I really do encourage, if you know someone, you have $1, you want to miss out on a coffee, please go and donate for the victim survivors that need our services for forever, because this is an issue that has been forever and will be forever. Thank you for coming. Enough is enough. This video is for Anthony Albanese, and if you're not him, get this to him. Hello, Anthony. I know that I'm seeing you today at 2 p.m. at our rally. I've been in contact with multiple government people that you work with, and also your office, and they told me that the government's plan is to just talk about the national plan to end violence against women. I'm sorry, but we don't have 10 years to ensure that no more women get killed to men's violence. You have a duty of care to ensure no more women lose their life in this country to men's violence. You need to announce that men's violence against women is a national emergency. I'm expecting at 2 p.m. you were to come up to me and let me know what is that commitment that you and the government will be making today. Our organisation is not funded. We're an Aboriginal-led organisation. We help Aboriginal women, non-Aboriginal women, especially in the sexual violence space. I'm also told that someone in the government wants to speak about the National Cabinet meeting and how that's going to do a lot of change. I'm sorry, but that's not going to do anything. That meeting, we haven't even been invited to that. How is there a National Cabinet meeting but the main organisers of the rally aren't invited? Make that make sense. You need to meet with the ones on the ground that are doing the work that don't have your support immediately. We have the 5 demands out there. You know them. I've spoken to your team. I'm expecting a response 2 p.m. when I see you today. If not, I know Australia is going to be furious.
After the video for Albanese was posted on Instagram, this image was posted for a third time and the live stream of the March to Parliament began.
Hey, Sarah here. If you can tell, I've had a fat cry. I don't like being vulnerable, but nothing's going to happen today. It's going to be hard, but I need everyone online to absolutely smash it because, yeah, they're not going to commit anything, and I'm just going to look like this biggest idiot asking them to do all these different things, and they're going to be like, no, or just ignore me. I'm going to go start it now once I've finished my little cry. Sorry for crying and being transparent, but just wanted to be really honest with everyone. And yes, no, he won't be speaking unless he was to turn around and say he's committed to a bunch of stuff, which he won't. And no other minister will be speaking unless they commit to something, which they won't. So let's see what happens though. But if nothing happens, which you guys will find out on the live stream, I really encourage you to get it up online straight away and absolutely shame the hell out of this government, because they've got a duty of care to keep us safe, and they're not keeping us safe, and they're not going to commit to anything to keep us safe. So I'm scared shitless. Sorry again for crying, but we're going to start now.
Sarah wasn't exactly grateful that the Prime Minister was there to support the rally. She put her demands to him beforehand and was well aware that they would not be agreed to. Yet she planned to present these demands to him in front of the crowd, shame him for not agreeing to them, and to use this disagreement to justify preventing him from speaking at all.
Just to be completely transparent, if you've come here today for the Prime Minister because of him coming, and you're not here for the cause, please don't continue marching. I really encourage all speakers, performers, to come to the front ASAP. If you're a politician, make yourself known within the crowd. But what we're wearing, which might be a new term to a lot of people, is my organisation. I'm the founder and CEO of What We're Wearing Australia. I really, really do hope that you guys can stand with me today and have my back. 4 years ago, I escaped family violence and moved 5 hours from Newcastle to be homeless in Canberra. I was homeless in Canberra for about 2 months and I moved back to Newey. I fled to Canberra here with the only person I knew, who was my boyfriend at the time, ex-boyfriend, don't worry. The relationship was really abusive. For 10 months, I was nearly murdered every single day. I was hit, raped, financially and emotionally abused. And the time I escaped was my 5th try. But then in 2021, when I started this organisation, I was sexually assaulted 3 times by 3 different perpetrators within 2021. It's pretty horrific. 2 of the 3 actually admitted on text message and to other people that both of them did rape me. Can anyone guess what happened?
Nothing.
Nothing. I actually reported police misconduct, something that not a lot of people know you can do. I had 21 allegations against these 2 detectives. All 21 were not sustained.
Shame.
Were not sustained for the fact that police officers said it didn't happen.
After about 10 minutes of this, the shaming began.
I want to thank the government and the people who have come, Anthony Albanese, Katie Gallagher. I know there's a bunch. But I'd also love to know where they are in the crowd, if we can point them out, maybe get them to come to the front. Let's not shame them yet. On behalf of the thousands and thousands of victim survivors and the ones who are grieving the loss of their lives, can I ask, will you here today say that men's violence and violence against women is a national emergency? Yeah.
Sorry, not you guys, I'm talking to them. I know you guys will. Can we get a thumbs up, thumbs down, or if you don't respond, that's fine. Will we announce that today men's violence and violence against women is a national emergency? I'm not seeing a thumbs up, alright. Alright. Demand number 1 is a no for those here today and those on social media. Demand number 1. 48 hours, media has to wait before posting a victim's face on social media without consent. I know that takes, I'm not stupid, I passed legislation change before. You guys probably think, who is this girl? I did, look me up, I have. We have a yes or a no, thumbs in the air. If it's a yes, 100% okay to not respond at all. Number 2, no response.
There's a lot of brave people here, be brave!
I'm sorry. Our third campaign, you'll know it's close to my heart and I started it. It's called #BelieveMe. We're asking for mandatory victim blaming prevention training for frontline workers, first responders, and now media personnel. Can we get any commitment with a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a no response for my Believe Me campaign, asking for mandatory victim blaming prevention training so people don't have to go through what I went through, where I nearly left this world because of what I went through. Anthony Albanese, Amanda Rishworth, and Katie Gallagher. Number 3, no response, guys. Sorry to everyone here. Shame! By the way, I want to make this clear that these things I'm saying isn't just some random girl calling for this. This has been thousands and years of talking to organisations, talking to victim survivors. This isn't just me. This is our whole country. This is our whole country. There's a few more demands on there that I know are being worked on by some amazing people, so I'm not going to ask them, but my last one comes from a bunch of organisations I spoke with yesterday at the Sydney Rally. Can we have a national sexual violence action plan separate to the current DV one? Thumbs up, thumbs down, or no response. Oh my God. Why are you even here? That's my demands. Let me get into the other stuff now.
We want action!
Now, if you know me, you know that I absolutely hate, I love public speaking, but I hate being the centre of attention. It doesn't make sense, but I hate being the centre of attention. I've hidden behind my organisation for years, which is probably why you don't know me. I want to really back myself here and say, what I just did then was probably the fucking most scariest thing I've ever done in this entire fucking... I'm only 23 years old. I'm speaking on behalf of all the young people. We're the ones that are going to have to live with the consequences of our current government's actions. And what I heard a lot last year was that if we don't start seeing things as a potential for a Peter Dutton in Prime Minister next year, and we don't want that. But we gave the opportunity to Anthony Albanese to make comment today, and we didn't get any. I don't want Peter Dutton, please, Lord. But now we know our answer. I don't know what the action is there. Someone's got it. We'll talk to them later.
After saying Albanese was given the opportunity to make comment but didn't take it, he began walking forward to the applause of the crowd.
I want to say something though before any of these people speak. I'm going to take the microphone just in case.
Sarah took the microphone from the stand and made one more attempt to prevent him from speaking.
Before anyone speaks, I do want to say, I'm doing this respectfully. People are going to think I'm not. People aren't going to like it. Who gives a hell, really? I'm doing this for victim survivors and the women that no longer can speak in this country anymore. And I know when I'm going to leave this, there's going to be people who don't like it. But I hope everyone that is a victim survivor has my back in this, because this isn't okay. And we don't have to please people who have a duty of care to look after us, a duty of care to make sure that not tomorrow, not the next day, not ever, we never lose another woman again. I actually, to be honest, don't really want anyone to speak, because I know I don't think they should be given the microphone And I do think that's going to be just a shit Sarah show, and I'm going to become the next Brittany Higgins. And I'm not looking for anyone to become that. I'm happy for my What We Wearing team to talk with the ministers, hear what they have to say, and then we'll consider the decision of them speaking about 10 minutes. But I'm not having any attacks towards myself and the organisation. Speaking or not speaking?
Thanks very much. I do want to congratulate the organisers, including yourself, for organising this today, and for women right around the country who have mobilised to say enough is enough. And just as I left Parliament House during the demonstration that was held a couple of years ago, I'm proud to be here with women, men, boys and girls saying we want violence against women and children to stop.
That's right.
To be clear, we did ask to speak, myself and Katie, and were told that that wasn't possible, and that's fine. I respect the organisers' right to do that.
That's a full-out lie.
To do that. We're here today to demand that governments of all levels must do better, including my own, including every state and territory government.
Expose the 28.
We're here as well to say that society and Australia must do better. We need to change the culture, we need to change attitudes. We need to change the legal system. We need to change the approach by all governments. Because it's not enough to support victims. We need to focus on the perpetrators and focus on prevention. In the time that we have been in government, we've allocated funding for 500 domestic violence workers. We now have 10 days paid domestic... I agree it's not enough. I said that. We need to do more. We have...
You shut down the city for 2 minutes.
We have an escaping violence payment. It's not just government's problem. It's a problem of our entire society. And this is a national crisis. And the reason why there's a disagreement re some of the language re-emergency is emergency something that we use when there's a flood or bushfires where things kick in for 1 month or 2 months of funding. We don't need 1 month or 2 months. We need to address this in a serious way, week by week, month by month, year by year. I want us to work together. I want us to work together as a society to build a better Australia, because an Australia where women and children is safe is a better Australia for women, for children and for men. Thanks very much.
Yes, and I was going. Sorry everyone, this is a bit chaotic, eh? I just want to say though, from an organisation's perspective, we're not funded at all by the government, we're grassroots. We run healing groups and survivors that book out every single month. They book out in both Newcastle and Sydney. We're not funded at all. And the other thing I wanted to update everyone is we're going on a national strike on May 20. Women across the country as an outcome of this protest. Things will be posted on our social media. But I was announcing that if there was no action. And I did acknowledge before, I know the government does things here and there, but here, if we wouldn't be here if things were being done good enough, is the thing.
Misogyny at its finest, she posted that night. Albanese abusing his power by aggressively stating when I asked the crowd if we should let him speak, "I'm the Prime Minister of the country, I run this country," demonstrated his entitlement. He doesn't appear to have said, "I run this country," but the footage shown earlier of him saying, "Do you want me to speak or not? I'm the Prime Minister," didn't emerge until later. He also said this while Sarah was trying to prevent him from speaking, not when she later reluctantly asked the crowd if they wanted him to. For him to not only demand he speak because he was being heckled, but lie was disgraceful. He demonstrated today what entitlement looks like. A man with power trying to diminish a vulnerable young woman. Sarah was upset that he spoke. At the same time, she was upset that he said she didn't want him to. Just because you are the Prime Minister of the country does not mean you get to use your title to scare a young woman into letting you speak. She complained that he had the audacity to lie after hearing her lived experience and didn't stop to apologise after she burst into tears.
I wasn't too keen on them speaking because, this isn't a rally for them to, just save themselves. Why'd they come to the rally when they weren't going to commit? He got up and he said a few sentences and then he said, "I actually asked to speak, but I was denied by the organisers." And the thing is, though, that was a lie. And as people can see my reaction, I called that out. Let's just say it wasn't a lie and that I did deny it, which wasn't the case. But if I did deny it, why did he feel that him, a male, in a violence against women rally, that he could come up and take over the stage and take that away from women?
Okay. And was that the source of what you were upset about, along with other people there?
Yeah, it was just I was pretty scared. Like, I'm only 23 years old. I was pretty vulnerable in that situation. The Prime Minister of the country walking with us, doing the 5K walk, sitting down on the grounds on Federation Mall and listening to someone talk about their own experience. And that Sarah Williams spoke for over half an hour. Of sitting there and listening, there is something also very powerful in that. We'd been working with the organisers about an opportunity to speak. We weren't on the speakers list, and we weren't able to land that by the time the rally started. I'm not aware of an invitation for the government to speak. I had wanted to speak. It was a rally in my hometown, and I thought that was appropriate. But there was some concern about the demand, the 5 key asks that were being sought at that rally, and we weren't able to reach agreement on how to proceed. And then when we were at the rally, I think the rally expected to hear from their Prime Minister, so he stood up and spoke.
Thank you very much for talking to us. So can you just clarify, was the Prime Minister invited to speak?
No. Okay, so he was invited to speak, but from me, because I wanted him to speak if he was going to commit to one of our demands.
Can you just explain who invited who to speak? So let's get down to the details. Who was invited to speak? Who asked the questions?
Yeah, so I found out on Friday that Albanese was coming to the rally, and then I had calls with them on Saturday. And they specifically made it very clear that he wasn't coming to speak, that Amanda Rishworth, Katie Gallagher weren't coming to speak. They wanted to just walk in solidarity. And I really appreciated that because so many politicians have asked to speak at these rallies. Then I got a message from Katie Gallagher's office saying that if I wanted someone to speak, Katie would speak. And I asked, could you clarify what Katie would speak on? Would she commit on something? And they said she's not committing on any of the demands. She'll speak on behalf of government. And I said, sorry, look, if you're not going to commit to one of the demands, I'm not really comfortable having you speak because Australia's going to be really upset by that. But that was Katie Gallagher. That wasn't Albanese. I suggested to them yesterday, even when I saw them there in person, I said, do we want to get Albanese to speak? Is there any last update that I might be able to convince him to commit to even just one? And the answer was no.
So how did he end up on the microphone?
I made it clear to them that if he wasn't going to commit, that I was going to call each demand and point it to him in the crowd and ask him to say yes or no. And the whole of the people there started, getting up and yelling at him and saying, why are you here? Why are you here if you weren't going to actually do something or listen to us? Him, Amanda and Katie, I'm assuming got quite overwhelmed. So they pretty much marched up to the front behind me. It was very terrifying. And I heard that he wanted to speak. And I immediately thought, well, he wants to speak to save himself here and probably make myself look bad. That's what I said to the audience. So I said to the audience, do we want him to speak? I wanted the audience to choose, not him. And whilst I was saying that, he said behind me, which many people heard, I'm the Prime Minister, I run this country. And I think that's what really triggered me the most is that the abuse of power there, that the fact that he thought that his position as the Prime Minister, he can do whatever he wants in that moment, you know. And then he stands up there and he says, you know, he asked to speak and we were denied. If it wasn't a lie, I would not have put my life, my future on risk right then in front of the whole country.
All right. Would you like to meet with the PM if he's got time to discuss what happened yesterday?
I've been asked that today and I've said yes.
Okay.
Very easy to give forgiveness and to work on the issue. The other thing, though, is, you know, we weren't even invited to the National Cabinet meeting.
Now, the Prime Minister's on the Today Show at the moment.
You were called a liar. How does that sit with you?
Look, I'm focused on the issue, Carl. It was an emotional day for people, and I get that. What is an emotional issue? Because women were saying yesterday, enough is enough.
I'd actually asked him, their office, if he would speak, if he could commit, and they said, look, it's a bit too busy, but Katie Gallagher would happily speak and say what they're doing is amazing with the National Cabinet meeting. So him coming out and saying that he asked to speak and was denied was really, really upsetting. It was quite traumatic for not only me, but everyone in the audience, all victim survivors, honestly, across the country, because our Prime Minister just flat out lied on a national scale in front of the whole country.
Sarah Williams has claimed you lied to the nation. What's your response?
Look, good on Sarah for organising the rally yesterday. This is an issue that is a national scourge and a national crisis. I was happy to just attend as a participant or happy to speak. So, either way.
Yes. So she said you're on the stage with her and there was confusion about, you know, who was going to speak. And then you said behind her on the stage words to the effect of, I'm the Prime Minister and I run the country. Did you just say that?
Well, Nat, I'm not going to get into, you know, that sort of debate.
Well, she's come on national TV and she's saying that all, like in radio and TV around the country today. That, unfortunately, is the message that's being sprouted. And we know it's unfortunate, but you could put it to bed now.
Well, Nat, people, including Channel 7, were there for the recording of everything that went on. So you were all there. So the media were all around. They heard everything that was said there.
Albanese, Amanda Ridgeworth and Katie Gallagher decided to get up and pretty much storm up to the front and demand to speak. There was no discussions about this prior. It was pretty triggering. We had a run sheet to go by. They weren't on that. So, they might think, oh, great, we'll just get to speak because we're this and that member. But actually what happened was victim survivors didn't get to tell their full stories because of that. And I think that's pretty appalling.
It's worth mentioning that people continued to speak for almost an hour after Albanese's 5 minutes. There was also another reading of the women killed this year before ending with a final call for donations.
I want to thank you again for supporting organisations, grassroots organisations. As we said, we are not funded. We currently have a GoFundMe up where we'd appreciate $1 or anything. It goes towards paying our speakers, our Welcome to Country. It goes towards funding sexual violence services so we can continue to be here for survivors because the government clearly is not.
I would actually like him to reach out, and I do want to meet with him because I think we need to work together to end this crime. I've got the lived experience in the organisation, and he's the Prime Minister, and he's got that position in the country.
You wrote on your Instagram page that he said he's the Prime Minister, he runs the country, which is, I guess, correct.
How do you feel with yesterday? There is a national cabinet, something is happening. What's your feeling as you wake up today? What the result has been from yesterday?
I was appalled, gutted, and quite traumatised, to be completely honest. I wasn't happy at all. I don't think a national cabinet's going to do anything because it's just Anthony Albanese meeting with other premiers and other people in the area rather than it being, organisations and advocates and people who are with victims every single day.
Isn't it a positive that they'll all be discussing this on Wednesday?
They're not discussing our demands is the issue. They're discussing violence against women. I think that this is just, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of Wednesday, but I don't think they're going to come out of Wednesday with they've committed to our demands, because if so, why would he have done what he did yesterday?
There's an allegation the Prime Minister said in response to all of these calls, I'm the Prime Minister, I run this country. Are they the exact words he said?
Yes, his exact words he said. He said that whilst I asked everyone if we wanted him to speak, and there was about 20 or so people behind that heard him say it.
So 20 or 30 people heard him as well, because he says there were cameras there, there were microphones there, check yourself. Do you have any evidence of him saying that, given how central this has all become?
Yeah, we do, and we have many witnesses going on 2GB radio tomorrow to discuss with them. That will be going live.
Right, but you're saying you've got a recording of him saying this?
We've got our recording, that's the live stream, but he's behind, so we're waiting to get the recordings for if anyone got audio from the background. But just because if someone didn't get audio of him saying it doesn't mean it didn't happen. That's victim blaming at its best. And our organisation is called What We're Wearing Australia. We're about ending victim blaming, and what you're doing right now on live TV is victim blaming me. So please don't do that. One of our demands,
I was just asking you because you...
No, but our third demand,
so...
if you actually knew about the campaign, was mandatory victim blaming prevention training for media personnel, so they don't victim blame victim survivors. What you're doing right now on national TV is victim blaming me, and I don't like it whatsoever, because people who watch who are victim survivors will think that's okay to do, and that's what encourages men's violence.
Okay, well, I'm not seeking to do that. It was a question around merely the element of whether this was said or not. When you said there was a recording, I was just asking about that. Okay.
And I'm saying it was
I'm not doubting that.
And that there'll be witnesses tomorrow that will be speaking about it.
Okay. We don't seek to stifle anyone. That's why you were invited on today. If those people want to talk to Sky News tomorrow, they're welcome as well. By the way, if you want to contact anyone at Sky, and they're welcome to do that as well.
To be honest.
Okay.
I was told I'd be speaking to someone who was trauma-informed and wouldn't be victim blaming, so it's pretty disappointing, guys.
It was merely a question around a recording when you said someone recorded it, so I was just trying to clarify that.
No, I said yes, it didn't. I clarified it straight away. You didn't have to ask it another time.
He's a man. He was not invited to speak. He didn't ask to speak. Him using his power to speak and taking the platform from victim survivors shows our issue here in this country.
Some of Albanese's opponents seized on the opportunity to put the boot in.
Whatever the version of events, as Christopher Dorr writes in an excellent piece just published on The Nightly, well, he accuses Albanese of gaslighting the woman who is a victim of domestic violence.
While she sobbed, he mansplained. And that was a terrible, terrible moment as the Prime Minister of Australia.
Very well said.
He's just learned how dangerous it is for a male Prime Minister to go to a women's protest against male violence. Now it's exploded in his face. Publicly called a liar, a bully, a misogynist. And I now have video to show he has been caught out, despite his denials.
We've seen what he did say. It's disgraceful what he tried to do. This guy's an opportunist to the first order.
And when Sarah became emotionally distraught for the Prime Minister to continue on, he was tone deaf. I mean, I get we're all angry that we've got to this juncture, but as Prime Minister, it's your responsibility to lead your nation, not to fight it.
Even Annabelle Crabb from the ABC piled on. Yesterday morning, Sarah told 2GB's Ben Fordham that she asked the crowd to make the call as to whether the PM should speak. While I was saying that, he said behind me, which many people heard, "I'm the Prime Minister, I run this country," she told Fordham. A review of the tape shows that Sarah is clearly misrepresenting what happened here. She wanted to make the call, and then she said her team would make the call, which is when Albanese made the "I'm the Prime Minister" comment. It was only after the crowd demanded he be given a right of reply to the long shaming session that Sarah asked them what they wanted. But Annabelle simply writes, "A review of the tape confirms that the PM did say, among the hubbub, 'I'm the Prime Minister.' It's not clear that he said the second part, but he hasn't denied it on the multiple opportunities he's been invited to do so in media interviews since." Despite the full live stream being available on the What Were You Wearing Instagram page, the entire Australian media landscape failed to cover this story accurately, as did Sarah, obviously.
So yeah, that happened. I called out Anthony Albanese for not caring about violence against women because we had 5 demands presented to him. It blows my mind that there's people out there in the world that are continuously defaming my character because they're not happy that I called out our Prime Minister. What did I get out of this? I didn't get anything. I didn't get anything but hate from people and hundreds and hundreds of calls and messages of death threats and telling me to unalive myself. To Anthony Albanese, I really am disgusted that you couldn't even call me today and apologise, but let alone you went on the media and you spoke as if you were putting the blame onto me and as if that I'm this young girl who did things out of emotion. Because I shamed him in front of the country and there was thousands of people calling out him for why did you come if you weren't going to commit to any demands? And he decided, a vulnerable First Nations young woman who just shared their lived experience can be the target and take all the hate and all the blame so that he doesn't have to feel any of it.
Today's National Cabinet was a constructive discussion with the Premiers and Chief Ministers. So today we can announce the government will invest $925 million over 5 years to permanently establish the Leaving Violence program.
You've said, have a look at the tape, everyone can see what was said. Well, what was said was, do you want me to speak or not? I'm the Prime Minister. Could you have handled that interaction a bit better in retrospect?
Oh, look, it is. You've put that, you haven't put what was said beforehand, which is I was asked to have discussions with people unknown about whether it was appropriate, whether we would be speaking or not. I wish Sarah well. We have reached out, the Commission has reached out to Sarah's organisation to provide a briefing.
What Were You Wearing thanked people for helping them reach their donation target and listed some vague, well-rounded figures for where the funds went. Less than half of the target allegedly went to the rallies. The GoFundMe is still linked to via their Instagram bio. Almost 6 weeks after the rallies were over, the fundraiser for them remains active and is still accepting donations to this day. Around a week after the rally, following a months-long investigation, the Newcastle Herald's Madeline Link published this article featuring various allegations from former What Were You Wearing volunteers, such as financial obscurity, bullying and lying. It included sections about the drink spiking petition and safe spaces that were covered earlier. It stated the organisation became an incorporated association in New South Wales in January 2023. An online database shows that What Were You Wearing is not a registered charity with the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission. A search of New South Wales Fair Trading's online system shows neither What Were You Wearing, Sarah Williams or the association What Were You Wearing Incorporated are registered as having applied for or in receipt of a charitable fundraising authority. This is despite What Were You Wearing publicly advertising for donations, receiving more than $35,000 through a recent GoFundMe for its No More National Rally Against Violence, and running multiple fundraisers, including the 2023 Night of Empowerment, for which a main objective was the purchase of a car. Ex-volunteers conservatively estimate the organisation has raised at least $70,000 and believe at least some of What Were You Wearing's money is held in Miss Williams' bank account. The Herald has seen numerous transfers from event ticket sales into a bank account in Miss Williams' name, totalling thousands of dollars. The company's structure has little public transparency, and there are no publicly available records detailing how much money has been donated, raised, or where it goes. On multiple occasions, I watched cash be handed over and it went into a personal wallet, one volunteer told the Herald. Another said when questioned where the money raised at events would be used, Miss Williams would give generic answers like survivor packs or safe spaces, but she could never provide written evidence. Some left disappointed, others angry and many scared, forwarded copies of unsigned non-disclosure agreements and defamation reminder letters upon resigning. Across the board, volunteers described an alleged incident in Canberra where a disagreement spun so out of control that 4 volunteers left the accommodation they were sharing with Miss Williams and spent a night in a caravan park paid for out of their own pockets. Many said they felt scared to speak up to Miss Williams, claiming she could be highly reactive and emotional when presented with suggestions or criticism. Another described Miss Williams' behaviour as very manipulative. Responding to someone dismissing the anonymous sources, one ex-volunteer wrote, "They are anonymous because of the threats of legal action taken. I'll say it now. I am one of them that was concerned. I didn't sign an NDA, I didn't speak to the media, but I did help provide documentation for it. And this is the only response What Were You Wearing has given prior to the article release, because they were asked to comment. Comments on Instagram have been made limited. Where is the money going really? Because we weren't trained to deal with anything. Ex-volunteers also contributed to an NBN News investigation by Tony Ambrogetti that came out a few days later. It featured a segment about the petition, which was already shown earlier.
Sarah Williams has become a national symbol in the fight against domestic violence. But tonight, there are questions around her conduct and the governance of the organisation she founded, What Were You Wearing Australia.
Tonight, ex-volunteers within the organisation level serious allegations at Sarah Williams that she's a bully and a liar. And they have concerns that money raised in the name of charity was going into a bank account in her name.
Most organisations do provide a lot more financial transparency, but What We're Wearing is not one of those. It was definitely bullying and it was very mean girls.
In the last 2 years, What Were You Wearing, which isn't a registered charity, has hosted over 30 fundraising events for domestic violence-related causes. Financial documents seen by NBN News reveal over $80,000 has been raised, $46,000 of which went directly into an account bearing Sarah Williams' name.
There's no transparency around finances. I have no idea where the money goes. There was cash for some raffle tickets at an event that just went to Sarah.
Volunteers questioned where the money was going as early as October 2022. In response, Sarah listed items including survivor packs and event costs before texting, "It's genuinely not anyone, business how much money there is and where every cent goes."
I think if you're donating to a cause, you absolutely have the right to ask questions.
Sarah Williams says the organisation has always complied with its financial reporting obligations, but a former senior member told NBN News no financial documents were ever presented to the annual general meeting. Sarah's interactions with volunteers also called into question.
Sarah does like to call people names and she does like to use Darvo tactics when she's confronted with something. It is very much no accountability.
NBN News spoke to more than 20 people for this investigation, many outlining specific allegations of bullying, but they were too scared to speak publicly for fear of retribution.
Off the top of my head, there's half a dozen people who've also received similar defamation threats, I think as an attempt to keep us quiet once we leave.
In a 2-page statement, she responded, "We are truly gutted and devastated to hear these accusations," promising the organisation has always been transparent with money raised and that its volunteers have always been treated with respect. Sarah did not respond to claims signatures were forged in a petition, but she acknowledged her management shortcomings and listed various steps she's taken to upskill.
Like with many volunteer organisations, non-disclosure, confidentiality and policy review and signing is all part of the induction process. We have many volunteers who love being part of our organisation. Here's what just one of our volunteers had to say. "Since joining What Were You Wearing, I've had nothing but positive experiences, especially with Sarah, the founder. She has welcomed me into the team and her and the entire team have made me feel welcome, safe and secure. I have been with the organisation for over a year and have never witnessed nor experienced any bullying, harassment or anything of that nature within the organisation or from any of the current team members. To go straight to the media, and particularly the timing being after What Were You Wearing hit the headlines in relation to the rally and the Prime Minister, is beyond disappointing, not just for me, but for all the victims and their families who have been affected by sexual violence." Sarah eventually came up with a response to the forged signatures claim, which was shown earlier, and posted it along with this response to the NBN on their website. Although these allegations were only covered by Newcastle news outlets, many people shared the story on social media. One claimed to have heard accusations back in October 2023 and spoken to over 20 ex-volunteers. She then posted the following. "Sarah Williams from What Were You Wearing Australia has repeatedly told me that there is no proof of her bullying, threatening and abusing volunteers. I have repeatedly asked her to sit with the accusations and listen with an open mind and an open heart. She is now accusing me of bullying, harassment and putting her life in danger. This seems to be her go-to. Darvo. The last 2 screenshots are from conversations I have had directly with Sarah." Well, you asked for evidence, Sarah. Here is the experience of one volunteer who resigned last year. This volunteer told What Were You Wearing they had re-traumatised them, and repeatedly told What Were You Wearing to stop contacting them. Instead, they repeatedly contacted her, including via her work and personal email. This is bullying and harassment. The response to the volunteer's resignation, allegedly from What Were You Wearing, reads, "It is with regret that I must inform you of the decision to agree with your resignation and terminate your engagement with our organisation, effective immediately, due to serious misconduct on your part," and came attached with a defamation reminder letter and NDA. What Were You Wearing allegedly responded to the request to cease contact by implying they would not do so until they received a satisfactory response. They also allegedly threatened the volunteer in response to a joke about a What Were You Wearing ball, attaching a final warning letter regarding defamatory statements and warning that this was the final attempt to resolve the issue amicably. New South Wales Police asked if she would like them to contact Miss Williams, to which she declined at that time as she was scared of repercussions and further harassment.
Hi guys, my name's Sarah Williams. I'm the founder and CEO of What We Wear in Australia. And I wanted to have a little chat with you guys, but firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's supported not only myself, but our organisation. The rallies that brought together over 100,000 people were, absolutely insane. We saw real action actually come out of a few of government meetings and the National Cabinet. The recent negative media has really distracted me from why I started the organisation and, all the goals and outcomes I hope to have. And, that coupled with the amount of sort of online abuse, death threats to hurt me and the people that I love has really taken a toll on my mental and physical health. And I really want to be able to be the best leader possible and also be able to have the organisation be the best it can be. So with that, I'm going to take a step back for a little while. We are a incorporated association, not-for-profit, and we've honestly been really lucky the past few months. We've been working with a pro bono Aboriginal legal service who are helping us on our charity status. So we're really hoping that, this time that I take away, I'm going to be able to really work with our management to understand our future obligations and how we're going to work under the ACNC. Although I'll be stepping away into the background for a little bit, our organisation will continue to run. I'm hoping to come back stronger and better equipped to really tackle the issue of domestic, family and sexual violence. We've shown you that we can make change, that we've made real change, and I certainly don't want that to stop here. I just need some time to really heal from the past few weeks and just want to say thank you for supporting us. And we'll still be here, and you just won't see me as much, but appreciate you all, and you'll see me soon.
Oh, watching me hanging by a string this time, so easily that smile's worth 100 lives. And if there's lessons to be learned, I'd rather get my jam of words in the first word. Tell you something that I find the world's a better place when it's upside down. Sweet about me, there's nothing sweet